Nick, could you tell us about your new film and how people can support S.A.F.E and how the last 18 months have been for S.A.F.E?
Well, we've been very lucky. In fact we've been recruiting. We haven't had to lay off any staff, which a lot of charities and NGOs have had to lay off a lot of staff. And really, we've been very lucky. The donors have stood with us and helped us while we adapt our programming. So, for instance, like in Samburu, we use a lot of, with the Maasai and Samburu projects, we use Maasai song and story and Samburu song and story. But we do performances, and we often target the marketplaces because it's where you get a lot of people. But during the warm up, of course, everyone, you're playing all the songs, and everyone's going, which is like a disaster for COVID spreading. A lot of people packed together, kind of chanting. We're a bit like, we can't really do any shows, so we turned them all into little films, which the donors absolutely. So we took the money from the touring money, and the film crew came in really kindly and did it very within budget for us, and so we've turned it into films. And this latest one is actually a project we've been doing down in Mombasa, looking at family planning options for young girls. There's a lot of pressure on the poorer parts of the community of girls. It's sort of semi-transactional. It's often that they get a sponsor, they're known as, who provides, maybe it's a SIM card or sanitary products, but in return they're having sex. And so these girls are often getting pregnant by 16, 17, and by 23 they've got 4 kids, sometimes with different sponsors. And of course, they never finished their education. They've never had any vocational work. They never had any training. So they're struggling to put food on the table, mostly by hawking and just selling things on the side of the road. And of course, the kids are running wild. So it's a growing problem. So we work with 2 drama groups in a place called Mtwapa, just north of Mombasa, and developed a play, a story of 5 sisters. And they basically fall asleep under a tree and dream this terrible future, which you don't realize is a dream until they wake up, and then they've got a chance to sort of live their life in a different way. So we've been doing that as a play. So we got some funding from the Rosita Trust in the UK, and we've turned it into a little film. So
that is brilliant. That's I've got a tear in my eye then. That is so good. That I was completely mesmerised, going, oh really? Yeah, well, fucking hell, yeah, man, that's completely lost. I was lost then.
I think what is so nice, and why any one of us would enjoy doing this, is we're taking all of this stuff and we're working with. When we were talking about, you were saying, Chris, you were saying that this incredible group of actors. These actors I work with here, and I'm directing. You go, no, we don't do this. No, sod that. Come on, we're going to go over here. Why don't you do this? And you do, and they do it, and they do it so well. And it's like this kind of like, you just throw them these ideas and have them executed absolutely brilliantly. But it's the fact of being able to use what we do with a very strong purpose. And I think the biggest example perhaps is the work we do on FGM, abandonment with the Maasai. And it's a very, very difficult thing to talk about. But in fact, it took 2 years in the Loiter Hills for the Council of Elders to agree that we could even discuss it publicly. And so we created a performance where there's a group of men and women who sing in favour of FGC, and a group of men and women who sing against it. And of course, they've got the best song and the best singers. And people start to defect. And at the end, you just say, well, let's talk about it. So it doesn't matter what your opinion is or what your beliefs are. Your argument is presented on the stage. And it's presented in a culturally appropriate way, and it's respectful, and it's non-judgmental. And, that program is, when we started, 100% of girls were being cut with type 2 circumcision, which is removal of the clitoris and the labia minora and majora. And now 60% do a small symbolic cut or type 1, and 30% do no cut at all and an alternate rite of passage. And it could not have happened without the creative industry, without the arts, and without performance. Right. Because people you give people, it's like when we started doing the HIV work in Mombasa, it was so much stigma around it, but they don't want to talk about me or you in terms of HIV, but they can talk about the characters on the stage. Yeah. And they can say, you know, well, you know, and one of the most amazing things is because, you know, if you know, I mean, I always say we produce world-class performance. And for people who live here, world-class performance in Kiswahili or Kimasai or Samburu is something you don't see that often. There is some really good stuff coming up and some fantastic directors rising up now and producing really interesting work. But if you can produce that work, you can engage people. So if you go, we went back on, we do a lot of work around radicalization and providing alternative narratives to Al-Shabaab. And we went back to an island up near Somalia. And we hadn't been there for 12 years. And we'd gone with a play called Masika on HIV. And we got there and we were like, where's Masika? La, 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 la.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers it. And, you know, when you go back and do like transect walk surveys for your donor reports, if you say to someone, did you see the play? And they say no. And they go, did you hear about the play? They go, yeah. So there was this girl, Masika, and she was raped by her teacher and he gave her HIV and la, 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 la. And they tell you the whole story of the play because everyone then talks about it. Because it's like, you know, the circus has come to town. You know, we come in with drummers and a big PA system. And, you know, you make it a real event. And you can really impact on people's prejudices and superstitions, and there's a lot of belief in witchcraft and curse.
That says it all when you said they can relate to somebody acting it, they can't relate to their best friend or whatever, or nobody talks about anybody that they know.
It's you're giving a vocabulary for people to be able to discuss something difficult. And I think critically we make people laugh, and if you make people laugh, they like you. And they're, you know, men are famously the hardest demographic to reach with public health information. And they'll go, okay, you're funny, mate. What do you want? You know, It's like, well, we'd love you to go and be tested in our tent because if we can get you on drugs quickly, then, you know, if you are positive, this is the best thing you could do. And they'll go, all right, man. And people will go in. So it's a great way to harness the love that we all have of performance.
That's fantastic.
There you go.
Respect, man. Respect.
Plus, it'd be very difficult to swap what you've got there for anything that in Tinseltown in England, wouldn't you? I mean, fucking hell, what you're doing out there is so important and so precious.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, as I say, I still want to do some acting. I still like to do. I would never want to do it full time, but you know, going, like Robert, you go and do it. I sometimes think, it'd be so nice to just go to a really good repertory theatre and do a off good play. And you know, sorry, Oliver.
No, that's great. Don't worry.
That's all right. Okay, I've managed to edit about 5 out previously, but the last one slipped out. You know, it'd be really nice to go and do something like that. And I've got funding to do another film on FGC with the Maasai later this year, which we're just trying to juggle with, you know, pandemics. And kind of tricky, but yeah, no, it's a real privilege.